947 Drive with Thando.
Ladies and gentlemen, the show on everyone's lips. No one thought, we could be distracted from the Madlanga Commission until in came the Polygamist, right? She's one of South Africa's most compelling contemporary voices in fiction. She's an author whose work doesn't just tell stories, but opens up conversations about love, about power, about identity, and the complicated spaces in between. This book was actually originally self-published in 2012, was then published in South Africa in 2020, and then, of course, it's now taken a second life as a Netflix series. She joins us now on the line, author of The Polygamist, Sue Nyathi, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, Sue, congratulations. Did you imagine it would, it's number one in more than 10 countries all around the world, number 2 in the US. Did you imagine such success?
Not at all, Thando.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me on the show. Yeah, no, definitely. It's exceeded my expectations in terms of the reception.
But also such a complex story, but also so real. I think you almost delved into parts that women felt but couldn't exactly, you can't really put it into words. Do you know what I mean? You almost have to walk the journey.
Yes, I think it's a relatability, and it's resonated with many women across cultures, across, countries. It's a story that most women can identify with. And that's why it's probably the roaring success. But also, interestingly, a lot of men, it's also resonated with them as well. I've seen a lot of men postulating on social media about what they watched and they thought.
I was actually going to ask, do you think a lot of men were uncomfortable watching The Polygamist with their partners?
I think some were, but I think some, saw, the positivity. There were some that really hated it.
Yeah.
But there were some that embraced it and felt like there was a deeper meaning and deeper introspection required from men.
Mm. But when you tell stories such as this, we know it's fiction, but you must draw from somewhere, Sue. Where did the idea of The Polygamist come from for you?
Definitely it is a lot of fiction is based on factual, real life.
Mm.
What inspired me to write this story was my observations when I started working in Harare and just observing men who were purportedly monogamous, right? But they had other wives and lives.
Mm.
And it wasn't the traditional kind of polygamy. I was exposed to the traditional kind of polygamy. My maternal grandfather had 5 wives.
Yeah.
So I understood polygamy from that sense, but that kind of polygamy was transparent. My grandmother was aware of all the wives and the children. There wasn't deception and betrayal. Yes.
I think what you showed us so well with the show and the book is people who hide behind polygamy, whereas what they're trying to just do is be, I don't know if I can say trifling.
Yeah, as Americans would say.
Yeah.
But it's that idea that men are unfaithful and then they try to sanitize those relationships by getting married. And I think it's unfair for the women who signed up for monogamy and who wanted a one-man, one-wife situation. And then the goalposts shift.
Yeah.
So a lot of women have had polygamy imposed on them. It's not something they were aware of or were signed up for.
And then it also begs the question, what's better, right? When he's outright saying, okay, cool, I don't want you to be the only one. So instead of cheating, then I'm shifting the goalposts, or I'm just going to cheat. And that way, you still, I'm not shifting the goalposts technically.
None of that is better. I think we've as society, we have normalized abnormal.
Mm.
Fidelity and loyalty should be the standard.
Mm.
I think what we've said is it's okay, but it's not okay actually, because cheating and infidelity have collateral damage, especially not just where children are involved, but even for the partner who's being cheated on. There's, psychological impact, low self-esteem, insecurity. It's damaging.
It is. It's emotional abuse, Sue.
Mm.
So,
definitely.
Just to wrap it up, as an author, what was the biggest challenge for you, having, put pen to paper and then now seeing it on television?
I think for me, it was done. So when I wrote the book, it was complete. I think the challenge was for the writers who did the adaptation.
Yeah.
Because you have to live up to a book that's very popular. and has been well received. So you don't want to mess it up. So I think the challenge was actually for those writers and the writers who had to do the screenplay.
So are we going to have a season 2 then? Are you going to have to write another book, Sue?
Well, you can't really because
he's dead.
I mean, remember,
spoiler alert.
No, well, look, the person dead is dead. But I'm just saying, look, with the series there were some slight changes, and they were sort of kind of off-ramped from some of the characters in the book. So for me, when I was thinking of the sequel, it was the children having grown up and what their lives would have been like with the damage they suffered growing up in that kind of dysfunction and toxicity.
Well, who knows? So, then we might see a season 2 then, Sue.
Well, who knows, hey?
Congratulations on your success, and I hope the success of the TV show also amounts to a success of the sales of your book, as successful as it already is. Thank you so much for your time. That's Sue Nyathi, author of The Polygamist. After 5:30, I thought we can talk about, for those who've watched, right? And I'm not going to spoil it. This is for those who've watched, and if you haven't watched, please go watch. But for the ladies, could you identify yourself in like Joyce? Nolotando?
I haven't watched.
Which one were you, babe? Are you Matipa?
I haven't watched.
You haven't watched?
I don't want to.
No. Mm-mm. And then on a more serious note, I think there were a lot of women who watched and were like, oh my gosh, that's my trauma being played out live on television, right? Because there was a man who I married who promised to love me and love me only, and then tomorrow changed his mind, and then God forbid, he's with this woman, won't leave her, and now I must agree to him marrying her. But it doesn't end there, because it never ends. It's a cycle. Anonymous, you resonated with it.
Definitely. Right down to her thoughts of getting someone to infect him with HIV.
Sure.
Yeah, my ex was a serial cheater. He was abusive physically, emotionally, and he was financially sound, And it took me a while to actually leave that marriage because I thought, what will I do? I had just given birth to our second baby when all of this happened. And yeah, then eventually just like, let's just see what goes on.
And I
left.
Obviously, initially, Anonymous, you don't know that this is the person that you're marrying. They're absolutely wonderful in the beginning.
They are. Now when I hear the term narcissist, I literally just put his name there because it was awesome, until then I was just deprived of love, and you still stay and they compare you to other women, they say, I was with so-and-so's wife and she's this and she's that. Other women out there understand when all of this happens. I do so much for you. What more do you want? There's food in the fridge, your car has petrol. What else do you want from me? And you really think about that. And I just thought, where will I start? And I think the worst thing is that when all of this happens, you're way over your 30s. Well, not way, but I was 32 when I left. But now I must start my life from scratch.
And obviously that's a scary thought, yeah.
That's a scary thought, And it takes a while to feel like there's some breathing space. But yeah, it's doable. Easier said than done, but it's definitely doable.
When was the first time you caught him?
I had just found out I'm pregnant. This was December 2019. We had just gotten married officially. We got married that same year in 2019. And yeah, he just continued from December 2019 right up until I left.
How did you find out though, Anonymous?
So sometimes it would be, Facebook. You find something out. Initially, I didn't even know that he was on Facebook. I found this out through a mutual friend, and they weren't snitching. They were just discussing a post. And I thought, hold up, what? And then you start seeing the comments that he's making on other women's posts on Facebook.
That time you're married.
Tando, not just married, I'm pregnant. I just found out. Now I'm thinking, should I, fetus deletus? What should I do with all of this? Yeah, then, the whole phone searching, because I think the thing is, something's there. You just need the confirmation. And funny enough, even when I did, confront him, he didn't care. He just completely stopped caring. It was like, if you want to go, go.
Yeah. And that's abusive. That's emotional abuse. At what point then, Anonymous, after everything, do you feel like you hate him so much and he's put you through so much, and seeing that this is the thing that he likes so much, let it be the thing that kills him?
You know what? Because the thing about being cheated on is that it affects your self-esteem. You start wondering, maybe I'm too fat. Also, I'm pregnant. Things are going out of, the norm. Right after I gave birth, I went on a diet. I got slimmer. Then you realize, no. And then I realized he doesn't even have a type. So anything that he could put it in.
They say, yonkinsi pia washa.
Exactly that. So eventually I was like, I just need just one girl, just one. Because it was that, or I'd watch him sleeping next to me and just think, I could just put poison. They know he likes alcohol. They wouldn't even think of me.
Oh my goodness.
And I think for me, that was that reason where I was like, you need to get out of here.
Yeah. Anonymous, congratulations on leaving that relationship. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. And I think there's so many other women, right, who have gone through something similar. And that's why this show is such a hit show, because they also have been silent for so long. Anyway, on that note, we are out of here.
947 Drive with Tando.